Cork beat Waterford 5-22 to 127, and what a strange game to try and sum up, because Cork looked brilliant for long spells. I was thinking to myself, there's a different cut at this team this year. They look physically in even better shape than they already were, and it's not like they weren't in good shape, but like noticeably the cornerbacks, like Sean O'Donoghue and Niall O'Leary, looked like even more of tanks than normal. Like Damien Cahallan's always been a big fella. Tim O'Mahony, like plenty of their players looked even more powerful, or so I thought anyway, and I'd be curious to get your own thoughts on that. But they'd pushed the lead out to 11 points, I think, on 43 minutes, and looked to be absolutely coasting. And Waterford, it was sort of worrying signs for the season. Of course, Desi Hutchinson, for example, wasn't playing. Pádraig Mahoney isn't yet back. Tadhg de Bourke is going to be out for the season, as is Stephen O'Keefe, who was opted away this year, and he started to think maybe things could be a little bit ropey, putting up just 8 points in the first half. It was very unimpressive and only creating 15 chances, I think, whereas Cork looked like they could have had more on the board. They had 23 chances, scored 13 of them. Dara Fitzgibbon was getting his chances. Shane Barrett looked fairly good. Patrick Horgan was getting fed good ball. And that was a difference between, for example, Tipperary didn't deliver great ball to their inside forwards. When I watch back the match, the likes of Limerick generally do, and Cork were doing that. And they managed to get runners straight up the centre throughout this game. Like Robbie O'Flynn is a serious athlete, and another one of those players who looks to be even in better shape, if that's possible. Luke Meade, very intelligent, coming through from centre forward as well. A lot of players that were just on the top of the turf, which, again, how much can you read into it? It's the 9th of May. It's the first game for 6 months for some of these players, give or take. Watford did have a goal chance in the 22nd minute. A beautiful crossfield ball from Austin Gleeson went straight into the hand of Calum Lyons, and from just outside the 21 he put it low and wide. At that stage the score was it was 1-6 to I think 4 points, so that would have brought it back nice and tight, and things could have changed a little bit from there. But it was just the lack of scoring chances for Watford in the first half, and but for that serious burst of scoring at the end of the game, they scored 1-3 without reply after Cork had made it 5-22 to 24 points. And it was looking very embarrassing at that stage, because, it finished up being, translated to 37 points to 30. But, it basically took the bad look off it, just getting that burst of scores at the end. But if you're looking for green shoots for Waterford, I'd say Kieran Bennett did very well at wing back. He's always good for a couple of scores up the field, but it looks like he's capable of scoring. Like, he scored, I think, 3 points from wing back, and if you had him there every day, there's a chance he'll get a few scores. Now, the fact that Cork were able to run through so often and get their scores, obviously I'm not just putting that down to Kieran Bennett, but that's obviously not a great sign. I thought Mikey Carney came on and had a good impact getting on the score sheet. Patrick Hearn set up a few scores and got his own point there at the very end of the game. Calum Lyons got a red card, and I have no issue with Sean Cleere giving him red for that. It is a sort. I'm not suggesting that he went out to intentionally flake Shane Kingston or do any damage to him when Kingston was running through, and it ended up with the goal for Alan Connolly, who pulled it into the net. But when you go across like that, it has the potential to be a finger breaker or a wrist breaker or something like that. So I don't think Calum, when he looks back at the video, will have too many complaints, because as soon as it happened and you heard the noise and you saw the reaction from Kingston, who was fine afterwards, but you kind of thought straight away you could go for something like that. And it's probably no harm for referees at this stage of the season to clamp down on it. Whether they will later in the year is another thing when it's at the business end of the season. Shane Kingston came on and had a good impact. I think he's going to be a key man for the summer. I'd imagine most people kind of feel that. His goal, the way he batted it in the 67th minute, sort of running in from the byline, end line type of area and smashing it past Billy Nolan, really excellent. I think the goalkeeper for Cork, Collins, a couple of the short puckouts didn't work out great. I mean, I thought he was pretty good overall, but a couple of the short ones went awry, led to a few scores. Austin Gleeson in the 66th minute, something like that, I remember he got one, and Gleeson was actually very good for the most part. He could have, again, we kind of saw the good and bad, because he had a couple of brilliant scores in the first half. At one stage he did a sort of stop and flick the ball back between two guys and knocked it over the bar and got a couple of other scores. But then there was the shoulder to the chest of, I'm just going to double check and see who he did it to. It was on Robbie O'Flynn, the shoulder to the chest just in first half injury time. That pretty much took the player out, and he was, to my money, a little bit lucky that it was only yellow. Now, it's rare enough that you'd get a red for that, but he's on the line a couple of times, he's on the edge, but still I thought he had another excellent performance, and continues on how he finished last year when I thought he was Waterford's more or less best player in the All-Ireland final. And a couple of his sideline cuts directly to his teammates across the field were glorious. One went to Shane McNulty, who knocked it over the bar, and there was another one that went to Calum Lyons, who knocked it wide. And overall, I think Cork have to be pretty satisfied. I mean, they left Conor Lahan and Aidan Walsh off the panel this year, and some young lads like Shane Barrett, Jack O'Connor, very well taken goal. Alan Connolly comes off the bench. He looked like a really good player and the last couple of years at the underage level, and he made an impact as well. And the way they throw the ball around to each other, it just seemed to work. Again, how much do you read into a game in the 9th of May? But just the simple eye test, without analysing it, without having all stats made out and that type of thing, just the simple eye test told me there was a lot to like about this Cork team. Faded out at the end of the game, maybe took the eye off the ball, but again, it's a league game. It doesn't mean all that much, but a good start, and somewhat worrying for Liam Cahill. Just the tone of it. Again, it's nice to get the last few scores to take the really bad look off it, and you can sort of say to the lads, well, look, we never gave up, we're going to build on this, etc., etc. But it doesn't look great either. So let me know what your thoughts are on Cork beating Waterford for a finish 5-22 to 127. Up and down the country, people love their clubs. Just ask the big names.
It's kind of hard to put that into words, Shane.
Okay, well,
you always give it your all for the club, no matter who you're playing or what you're playing. You just always have to try and push yourself.
This is for the Tullaroan people, Nicky.
Whatever grade you're playing at within the county, that you were able to have that opportunity to play.
And the other night, like I said, I'm going to watch it.
Well, hopefully you will too, as Our Game launches an online fundraising platform for clubs, helping you raise money for your teams through a live GAA chat show on Zoom. We'll bring some top guests on to tell great stories, put your club in the spotlight, have fun games and touch on the hot topics of the day. There was a time when a club could sell hundreds of tickets to fill out a local venue, whether that was Dancing with the Stars, the Cube, white collar boxing, but of course that's just not possible right now. Yet the costs of running teams remain, so if your club is in need of a financial solution, look no further. We'll do it all. We'll set up the ticketing platform, send unique Zoom links to each person or family who buys a ticket, organise a panel of guests with you, and put on a fun show for those at home. It's a simple recipe to help your club get some much needed cash in the door, with an extra option to sell raffle tickets if you have prizes to give away. Contact us now on events@ourgame.ie to set your club up for the year.